Hello everyone and welcome to the first ever live edition of Cover 2 TV. I'm Steve Hoare and I'm here to bring you the daily news. Like I say, we're live on YouTube as we're speaking, so if you guys want to get in touch using the comment section below, the live chat, please do so and I'll get to your questions, your topics, etc. later on in the show. Let's get cracking with the news then. The first ever piece of news on Cover 2 TV, and we're all talking about TODD GURLEY, the running back from the LA Rams. He was asked recently, is he going to be ready for the season? What's the subject looking like? How's everything going? And he was basically said, what's the offense like? And he said, well, it can't get any worse, can it? And to be fair, Todd, no, you're absolutely right, it can't, because last year was absolutely dreadful. Jared Goff struggled, the line struggled, and the player himself struggled. Got a quote here where Todd says he has definitely been loving McVAY'S style of offense, new head coach Sean McVay. Now, TODD GURLEY's rookie season was an absolute sensation. He came in and he tore the league up. Unfortunately, in year two, well, he did struggle. Like I mentioned before, the offense struggled. It wasn't all on him. However, he was partly to blame. He's been talking also about Jared Goff, obviously going into his second season, the guy who they traded up for. He says Jared has been getting better. He didn't go at the #1 pick for the reason. He has the talent. He's been getting better. Like I say, for the LA Rams, I hope that is the case. And for TODD GURLEY, I hope it's the case because the league needs its star players. TODD GURLEY has the potential to be a star player. So we need this offense working. And for that to happen, if Jared Goff can't play and teams can just stack the box against TODD GURLEY, he's not going to get anywhere. And unfortunately, he might fade out. We don't want that. So hopefully Jared Goff improves, the offense improves, and we all get to see the real TODD GURLEY. It will be amazing. Next up, let's talk about another running back then. A lot of people at the moment probably associate Rashard Jennings being the guy who won Dancing with the Stars. For our UK viewers, that's the American version of our Strictly Come Dancing. Now, Rashard has been speaking, saying he's got no plans to retire and he's looking for another team. He says he's in the best shape of his life. He always is going to be in shape. That's what he's known for. A team knows they're going to have a player that's going to be in great shape if they want him. Rashard, like I say, he's played, 7 years? He played in Jacksonville, he played in Oakland, and then he played in New York latterly. He's had a pretty okay season. He's never been the greatest running back. He's never been the worst. He's a very good player, I think, or at least a decent player. The chances of him getting a job, I think, are going to depend upon him staying fit and also other players getting injured. He's unlikely to get signed at the moment. If someone wanted him, they'd have probably already brought him in by now. So I think Rashard is hoping that, or not hoping, but he's willing to play as and when someone else drops out, if there's an injury, if there's a loss of form, etc. And we all know NFL training camps, injuries happen. How many times have we seen someone go down in pre-season and go out for the year? For example, I'm a Green Bay Packers fan, and a couple of years ago we lost Jordy Nelson in our very first pre-season game against the Steelers. ACL goes, done for the year, and we were absolutely knackered basically. So there's a lot of these type of players about. D'Angelo Williams is another one who's just come back from being a professional wrestler, which is a story up in itself, where they're just waiting to get to training camp for veteran players who can just come and get in. Let me know, guys, like I say in the comments below, if you support the team and you would quite fancy having Rashard Jennings on your team. Has he still got anything left? If you're a Giants fan, you've seen him for a while, let us know your comments on him. Next up, a topic close to my heart. If anyone's been watching the channel over the last few weeks, hopefully you haven't and you've enjoyed it. I've been taking a look at the 2018 potential draft class. I'm big into my draft class. I'm quite big into college football and the prospects. And the consensus about #1 overall pick heading into 2018, if you had to put some money on it now, everyone will be guessing that it's going to be USC quarterback Sam Darnold. However, it isn't all as cut and dry as that, because Sam actually has got 2 years of college eligibility left. And Daniel Jeremiah of NFL.com said that when he went to see Sam in the recent opening academy, a lot of talk behind the scenes in terms of personnel guys is that Sam actually could go back to college for another couple of seasons. Now, that is a quite rare move, because a lot of players, when the money's there and they're available and there's a talk about being the #1 pick, they go and they get their money. And you know what? You can't blame them. We've all seen, for example, Jalen Smith go down in a bowl game, a different position, but that cost him serious money. He went from a surefire top 5 pick to a second round pick. We saw the likes of Christian McCaffrey and Leonard Fournette recently just avoiding playing bowl games altogether because they wanted to be in the best shape. So when the money's on the table, it's hard for players to turn it down. Having said that, we all know Andrew Luck, for example, went back to Stanford and stayed. He was a definite surefire #1 pick, the best prospect there's been for a long, long time. Sam Darnold isn't probably in that category, but he is up there. He is in terms of what people around the league think about him. So in recent years, we've had quarterbacks at top 2, top 3 picks. We've had Mitch Trubisky, we've had Jared Goff, we've had Carson Wentz, Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota, and Darnold is more towards the Winston and the Mariota than he is towards the Trubiskys and maybe even in the Jared Goffs. As it stands, obviously a lot can change in one college season, but like I say, a few scouts told Daniel Jeremiah, we wouldn't be surprised if Darnold's at USC. He's only a redshirt sophomore, so he's still available. However, he can declare for the draft. There's a lot of teams looking at quarterbacks for next season. We've all seen that. The Jets, for example, look like they're tanking. The Browns could be in the market for a quarterback. The 49ers. Who knows what the Redskins are going to do with Kirk Cousins. The Bills, maybe with Tyrod Taylor. There are tons of quarterback-needy teams. And this guy is the real deal. So this is why tanking in the NFL doesn't always work, because the Jets, for example, could scam for Sam, or whatever you want to call it, the old suck for luck campaign, and then he doesn't even come out. So it is a bit of a worry. Personally, if I was advising Sam, I'd say come out right now, mate, and get that money. But I'd love you guys to know what you guys think. We've had a comment here from Thesis who says, Darnold going back to college would be a mistake. A bad season or injury can kill his draft stock. I completely agree. This time, maybe last year or the year before, Brad Kaya from Miami was going round as maybe the consensus pick. Obviously, one more season of college football, and he ends up going as a mid-round pick to be a backup in Detroit. So if Sam has a decent season, and if Sam plays as well I think he's going to play, if I was him, I'd come out straight away. And even if he isn't the #1 pick, because Josh Allen or Josh Rosen might be, he's going to be a top 10 pick for sure. Teams will be desperate to get Sam Darnold. Go and get the money, Sam. It's not worth it, in my personal opinion. Anyway, final piece of news, and speaking of money and contracts and stuff, I'm here to talk about Le'Veon Bell of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Arguably the best running back in the league, depending on what your thoughts are, or if you're a David Johnson fan, Zeke Elliott. We'll all agree that Lev Bell is probably in the top 3. Now, the Steelers have got until Saturday, I think, to sort out a long-term deal for Le'Veon Bell. Otherwise, he will play on the franchise tag this season, meaning he will hit free agency next season. As it stands, if that happens and he does go to free agency again next year, the Steelers obviously could franchise tag him again, but he would have to pay him around about, we think it's going to be 13 to 14 million, depending on the cap, for one season. Bell's playing, as he stands now, at around 12 million for just the 1 year. Now, this is a difficult one for all parties concerned, because in order to get Le'Veon Bell, the Steelers are going to have to offer him more than the franchise tag will be over the next 2 or 3 years. But what, are they willing to do that? Are they willing to pay him more? And if they're not, why would Bell sign for the contract? Why would he do it? The only 2 options are, like we mentioned, injury risk, because he's had injuries before, he's had suspensions before, so he may be worried and want his long-term security tied up, which is understandable. And again, the second issue really is, if he does hit the market, who's going to go and get him? Well, he might end up playing for a lesser team. The Steelers are clearly a Super Bowl contender, probably the second best team, consensus second best team in the AFC. I've got Chris behind camera. Chris, would you agree? Second best team, Steelers? Chris is nodding and putting his thumbs up, my personal opinion. Oakland fans might be disagree, and Denver fans might disagree.
No D.
They've got no defence, so there you go, that's what Chris's thoughts were on those guys, on the Oakland Raiders, but no D, that is what Chris said.
Stocked on offence, though.
They've got a very, very good offence. I agree, but this is going to be an interesting one. It's going to set the marker, isn't it, for running backs. There's been a lot of talk in recent years of the running back position being devalued. Is it worth paying your top running back all the money? A lot of teams are getting away without doing it. The recent Super Bowl champions, New England Patriots, just seem to plug and play guys, get them in, play them, and go. However, if you look at the recent impact that Ezekiel Elliott had on the Dallas Cowboys, he along with that line and with the quarterback, helped transform that offense. Adrian Peterson pretty much carried the Minnesota Vikings for years. So the position is valuable on the field. What is it worth off the field? We're going to see that, because if the best player in the league doesn't get a high-end long-term deal, maybe we're going to get the thoughts of what everyone else thinks. And for Le'Veon Bell, is he willing to take a little bit of a discount in terms of his next 2-year pay to secure himself a long-term deal? Because we all know running back in this league, it's you know, you're one hit away. Running backs very rarely hit the second and third contract and get big money. So is Bell prepared to play for another season on the tag, and then another season on the tag, and then maybe hit free agency? By then, what's his value? There's lots of to and froing going. I personally think they're going to all come to an agreement this year. And Bell might have to take a little bit less in terms of what the tag is, but he'll be able to, in order to do that, he might end up with more guaranteed money, a longer term contract, and basically a bit more security, because like I say, he has been very injury prone. Like we got in the notes here, you know, he's had MCL, he's had knee, he's had groin injuries. We saw him fall out of the game against the Patriots in the playoffs, and that effectively ended that game. The Steelers had no chance without him. So he's not exactly super fit all the time. He isn't a guy who stays fit all the time. For example, Kirk Cousins is in a similar boat, albeit as a quarterback, and the injury risk for him is probably far less than it is for Le'Veon Bell. So Kirk Cousins is probably happy to play on the franchise tag for a year, that'll be his second year on the tag, and get to free agency next year, and probably get the biggest deal in NFL history, which is bizarre for Kirk Cousins, but that's the market we live in now. It'll be interesting to see how Le'Veon Bell does, what he does. Like I say, guys, you let me know in the comments what you think Le'Veon Bell and the Steelers should do. Other than that, well, in terms of our show, in terms of around here, like I say, this is our new set. We're going to film our first live studio show tomorrow. Sorry, our first studio show tomorrow. We're going to be discussing the off-season and our favourite off-season moves. Me or Chris will be here every single day to bring you guys the daily news, and we'd love if you guys can watch, love if you can comment below, love if you can share this, because NFL is our passion. I agree, Chris. We love this. We're doing it as an actor, a labour of love, really. So the more we can get you guys involved, the better. Other than that, I'd like to say thanks very much for watching. Thanks very much for subscribing. If you're not subscribing, press the button now and subscribe. Once you've done that, press the thumbs up button as well. Do that, do me a favour. And I will see you all next week, or next time, sorry, on Cover 2 TV.